English. And my name's David. And yeah, I'm in the same place as usual. I'm in Thailand, Chiang Mai, Thailand. And my son is somewhere different. So Justin, where are you?
Hello guys, I'm Justin. And right now I'm in Canada, in
Hmm.
Kitchener, Toronto.
Hmm. Okay, Kitchener, Toronto area. Okay.
Yep.
And I hope you're having a good time there.
Yes, I
Hmm.
I had a good time.
Okay. If the listeners or the people that are watching our program, if there's anything you want to know about Justin and about his time in Canada, maybe you can send some messages later and we can respond. So we're definitely open to doing that. But anyway, let's get on to our new program. What do you think, Jay?
Sure, let's
Okay.
do it.
Okay. All right, let's do it. So the focus of our lesson today will be twofold. The first thing we're going to do is talk about some grammar, and that is how to use the if clause. Okay, so let's do a short presentation, okay, that introduces this idea. Okay. Justin, I hope that you can see the presentation.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, you can see it, and I'm sure that our viewers can see it as well. Okay, so what we're going to focus on today is something called the if clause or the if conditional. There are four different types. There's the zero conditional, and then there's one, two, and three. Probably the most common one looks something like this. Jay, maybe you can help me out. So the first clause, the first part is if I go out tonight. And then in the second clause, we will answer what will happen. Okay. And
Okay.
this is the first conditional. This is the real situation. What will you do if you go out tonight? Um, Now, Jay, you can see that the words are not in the correct order. So can you help me to put them in the correct order?
All right. Sure.
Hmm.
If I go out tonight, I will go to the cinema.
Yes. Okay. All right. So I will go
Go
to
to
the
the.
cinema.
Yep.
Okay, I will go to the cinema. Okay, so in the case of the first conditional, the structure always looks the same, the sentence form and structure. Uh, it's I, the subject, and then will, and then the verb go to the place, go to the cinema. Okay, so it follows a very basic structure, sentence structure. Okay, if I go out tonight, what will happen? I will go to the cinema. We always use the modal verb will. Okay. All right, let's go to another one. If you get back late,
I will be angry.
yes, okay. Yes, I will be angry. Uh this is also first conditional because it follows the same rule. What will happen if you get back late? I will be angry. We still use the modal will. Okay, number three. Okay, so if I cross the street,
If I cross the street, I always look left and right.
all right, I always look left and right. This one is called the zero conditional. Okay. This one is also real, but we use the zero conditional in the case of something that is always true. It's like a routine. It's something that I always do. Okay. So in this case, we don't use will, we just use the present tense. Simply, I always look left and right. Okay. Jay, is that clear?
Yes. Clear.
Okay, so this is the zero conditional. All right, next one.
Tea tastes sweet if you add some sugar.
Yes. Okay, if you add some sugar. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Ah, that's a very lovely looking cup of tea. Okay, now this is also zero conditional because again, it's stating a fact. It's true that tea tastes sweet if you add some sugar. Okay, another thing that we can mention is with the if conditional, the sentence can start with if if you add some sugar, tea tastes sweet. Or you can change the order as well. Tea tastes sweet in this case if you add some sugar. Both are correct. Okay. Okay. Okay, now this one's a little bit different. Okay. So what do you think, Justin? We're going to start the sentence with if here, right? If.
Yep. If they
Mhm.
liked hot weather.
So if they liked hot weather, they would go to Spain on holiday. Okay, now this one is called the second conditional. This is for situations that are not real. Okay, these are hypothetical situations. Okay, so if they liked hot weather, they would go to Spain on holiday. So, Justin, in this situation, do they actually like hot weather or not?
Mm, no, they don't like hot weather.
Yeah, they actually don't like it. Okay, so that's why the situation is not real. But if they liked hot weather, they would go to Spain on holiday, and they could very well come here to Thailand as well, because of course Thailand is also very hot. What about Canada, Jay? Would Canada be a good place to visit if you like hot weather?
No, Canada's really cold.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So please note that the structure of the sentence looks a bit different. The verb tense, we will use the past forms. So it's no longer like, it's liked. And then we don't use will any longer. We use would, the modal verb would in this case. Okay. All right. So let's go on to the next one. Okay, what do we need to do here? Okay, if we go,
If we go on
mhm,
holiday this summer, we
mhm,
will go to Spain.
yes. Okay. Yes. So this one, what do you think, Jay? Is this the first conditional or the second conditional? If we go on holiday this summer, we will go to Spain. Is it first conditional or second? What do you think?
Uh, First,
Number one. Yes, exactly. Very good. It is. It's the first conditional because this is real. This is the true situation. Okay. If we go on holiday this summer, we will go to Spain. That's a fact. Okay. So it's the first conditional and we use will. Okay. As always. Okay. Just Jay, what about this one?
if I were a movie star, I would marry someone famous.
Okay, I would marry someone famous. Okay, so Jay, in this situation, is this the first conditional or the second conditional?
Second conditional.
Yes. Okay, because this situation is not real. It's not true. If I were a movie star, which I'm not, I would marry someone famous. Okay, so this one is not a real situation. Notice how we use the past tense were, and then we use would as opposed to will in the clause. Okay, next one.
If I had been born in a different country, um, I would have mm, learned to speak a different
Mhm.
language.
Yes. Okay. I would have learned to speak a different language. Okay. All right. Now, this is a case, in this one, this is called the third conditional. Okay. And these are also for situations that are unreal. These things could never, never happen. We're talking about something that is absolutely impossible. Okay. If I had been or sorry, if I had been born in a different country, I mean, that's impossible for you to be born in a different country, right? So, Jay, where were you born?
I was born in Thailand.
Yeah, and I was born in the US, and that will never change. So it's impossible to even think that you could be born in another country. So if I had been born in a different country, this clause is using the past perfect form, and then I would have learned to speak a different language. So here we're using would because it's unreal, it's hypothetical situation, and then have learned. So we're using the present perfect form. Okay, this situation could never happen. It's just purely hypothetical. Okay. Jay, do you know the word hypothetical?
No.
Hypotheses? Okay, hypotheses or hypothetical is when you discuss or when you think about something that could never really happen. Okay, but you're just talking about the possibility that if it were to happen. Okay, all right. So
Yep.
let's go on to another situation that could never happen, really. Okay, if she had.
If she had gone to university,
Mhm.
she would have studied French.
Yes. Okay. So Jay, in this case, did she go to university?
No.
Okay. Is there any plan that she will go to university in the future? Any possibility?
Uh, I don't think so. No.
No. In this case, it's not possible. Okay, she won't do that. So it's just not going to happen. Unreal. Okay. Okay, let's do one more. This is the last one.
I would have called you
Mhm.
if I hadn't forgotten my phone.
If I hadn't forgotten my phone. Okay. And that's it. Okay. So we were able to practice, okay, all four different types of conditionals. Let's look at that last sentence one more time. Okay, I would have called you if I hadn't forgotten my phone. Okay.
Yep.
So, okay. So in this case, did the person forget their telephone?
Yes.
Yes. And for that reason, was it possible for them to call?
No, not possible.
Exactly. Okay, so that's why, again, it's impossible. So we're using the third conditional. Okay. All right, Justin. So I hope maybe you
Yeah.
learned one or two things, or maybe you were reminded about things that you've already learned.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. And I hope for our listeners, they also learned something. Now, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna use this this structure or this language to design a city, okay, to design a modern green city, okay? And the name of the city is Mytopia, okay? So, any idea? Justin, what does the word utopia mean? Utopia.
It's like it's create your city like that.
Okay. Yeah, it has another meaning actually. Okay. I don't know if any of our listeners who have joined us on our stream, if you know what a utopia is. Okay. Jay, can you see in the chat box utopia?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So utopia is actually the meaning in English would be a paradise. So when you're building a place to live and you consider that to be the perfect place to live, we would call that utopia.
Mm.
Okay. Is that a new word?
Yep. Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Okay. Now the opposite of utopia is dystopia. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So basically, dystopia means that you're building a place that is very dark and no one would ever want to live there. Okay. So we would call
Mm.
this dystopian. Okay. So
There's a
we don't want to,
movie.
mhm.
There's a
Yeah.
movie called Zootopia.
Right. Okay. Yes. And for people who like that film, I do think it's about, I haven't seen it, but from what I understand, maybe you can tell us what it's about, Justin.
It's
Zootopia.
like it's like there's animals. There's
Mm,
riding cars in the
mm,
city.
Right,
It's a non-fiction.
right.
Wait,
Are they?
yeah.
Yes. Okay. Is it? Well, I don't think it's nonfiction. I think it's fictional.
Yeah, it is fictional, yeah.
Yeah,
Oops.
exactly. If it's nonfiction, then it's a real thing. Anyway, so it's a fictional story, and these animals that are living in the city, does it seem like a really perfect kind of place to live?
Yeah, from what I
So
saw, yeah.
maybe that's why they call it Zootopia.
Mhm.
It's a perfect place for the animals to live. What do you think?
I'm not sure
Could be,
if it's
could be,
maybe,
maybe. Okay,
could be.
so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna create a utopian city, and that means we're gonna create a perfect city in our eyes, in our vision, and at least it's perfect for the environment. Okay, and we're gonna call this city my Topia. Okay. So, the first thing we need to decide about our city is how will you power your city? Okay, Justin, you
Yep.
can see the choices here. So we've got wind energy, coal and gas, hydrogen, nuclear power, or solar energy. What do you think is the best option?
I would use wind energy.
Okay, okay. So, okay, so notice how Justin said I would because it's hypothetical, it's not a real situation. But yeah, if he were the leader of the city, he would use wind energy. Okay. All right. Now, Justin, if you use wind energy, what does that mean? What does that mean for the city?
It means the city will use the wind to power the electricity, to power all kinds of things in the city.
Okay. Okay. All right. So they'll use the wind. So, but how does that benefit the city? If they use wind power, how will that be a good thing for the city? Like, how will the city benefit from that?
Well, they don't need to use fuel. They don't need to use oil
You mean
to power.
you mean they won't need to?
Yes, they won't need to, yeah.
Okay. Okay. If you say it again, they won't need to.
They won't need to use oil or gas to power
Hmm.
the city because it will create pollution.
In that case. Okay. So if they're using wind energy, then there will be less pollution created. Yeah?
Yes, correct.
Is that good? Okay, good. All right. Now let's consider the next point for Mytopia. How will your citizens travel around the city?
They will travel by electric vehicles.
Okay. So electric vehicles. Okay. All right. How about walking, Jay? Do you think why don't we just ask our citizens to walk around the city?
If the citizens walk around the city, they would be tired.
Okay. So if they walked around the city, they would be too tired. So you feel
Ye-
it would be better for them to have electric vehicles, right?
Yes.
Okay. I see. Okay. All right. So you can see that we have the electric vehicles, okay, driving around the city. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And if we do that, what will we need to build? So in order for these cars to get the electricity that they need.
Well, what will we need to build?
Yeah. So we'll need to build some sort of infrastructure. Like we won't need to use gas stations anymore, right?
Yes.
So instead of gas stations, what will these cars need?
They would need electricity from the wind power from the windmill to
Mhm.
power.
Right. So does that mean that all the cars they have to come over here to the wind farm and get their energy from the wind farm, or can they go somewhere else?
They could go somewhere else.
Okay, where? What do we call that?
Um, I'm not sure. Like it's a machine where you
Hmm.
can charge the battery from electricity.
Right. They're called charging stations.
Yes.
Okay, so instead of gas stations, we will need to build more and more charging stations around the city, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Or will it be possible for people to charge their cars in their homes?
Yes, it would be
Okay. It will
possible.
be. Will
It
be
will
or
be
would be?
possible.
It will be possible. Okay.
It will
But
be possible.
what will happen to the cost of electricity? Do you think the cost of electricity will be much higher if they're charging their
Yes.
cars at home?
Yes, it will be much higher.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. Let's move on to the next part. Okay. So Justin, how do you think how will you feed your citizens?
Mm,
Okay, why don't I read the options to make sure that the people who are watching, they can also know what the different options are. The options, how will we feed our citizens? Citizens, by the way, citizens means people who live in the city, in our city. The options are grow local products, import food from abroad, use local shops, visit the supermarket, or share homegrown food. What do you think?
I would go with the first one, grow local products.
Okay. Okay, so grow local products.
Yep.
Okay. So if we grow local products, it means that we will have more farms in and around our city. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that's a good thing?
Mm, yeah, so that's a good thing
Okay, well, okay, why is that?
because people they can grow farms and they
I'm sorry,
can use
people, no, people will be able to.
okay, people they will be able to grow
Hmm.
plants
Hmm.
and they will be able to go and sell it in the market for the
Hmm.
citizens.
Okay. Okay. And then what about the food quality? Do you think the food quality will be better? Will improve?
Yes, it will be better.
Why is that?
Um, it depends on farmers as well, I think.
Hmm.
Like what kind of fertilizer they use to grow.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So if they're local, if these farms are local, will they be using the natural fertilizers, or do you think they'll be using more chemical fertilizers?
They'll use natural fertilizers.
Okay. All right. Okay. But do you think if the food is grown, or if we grow the food closer to the city, then do you think
Mm,
the food will be fresh?
no, it won't.
No, we have the farm here. We have it close to the city. We have it in the city even. So don't you think the food will be fresh? The
No.
the option would be that we bring the food from other cities or we import the food from other countries, right?
Yep.
Okay. So in which situation will the food be fresh? If we grow the food locally or if we import from other countries? What do you think?
When the food grow locally,
Okay. All right. But in a sentence,
if we
mhm,
grow the food locally,
mhm.
the food will be fresh.
Okay. Yes, the food will be fresh. Okay, more so than if we import the food from overseas, right?
Yes.
Okay, does that make sense, Jay? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 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 Let's go on to the next part of the city. Okay, which is can you read what it says? What features?
What features will your houses and buildings have?
Okay. Okay. Maybe I'll read through them because there's quite a lot of detail here. Okay. The first one is that there will be assigned car parking space. So your home will have enough parking for your family and for visitors. Okay.
Yep.
The next one is green rooftops and gardens. Okay, so your roof will be a green color, and there will be a lot of gardens in and around your house. Solar panels. So solar panels could be used for energy for the sun, and those solar panels will probably be on the roof of your house. Ample heating and air conditioning. Ample, the word ample means enough, that you'll always have more than enough heating and air conditioning in your home. So you will always be living in comfort. Okay. And the last
Yep.
the last option is extra space and spare rooms. So you have basically a very spacious home. Okay. So what
Mm-hmm.
what features will you have in your home?
Mm, more space for parking in your homes.
You'd like to have that? That's important for you?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we don't want people to park their cars outside the building or outside the house, or else
Okay.
the road will be full and won't have space to drive on.
Okay. That's a good point. That's a good point. Okay. Okay. So you can see around the home there's a lot of places for people to park their cars, right?
Yes.
Okay. And since these cars are electric vehicles, they can also maybe have some sort of a small charging station in their home to charge their own cars as well, right?
Yep.
Okay, very nice. Okay, so let's go on. The next part is what rules will you have for your citizens?
Mm, can you
Okay.
read? It's a little bit too small for me.
Sure, sure, sure. Okay, the first rule is everyone must recycle in your city. Okay. Number two, only one car per house. Number three, people have to grow their own food. Number four, extra food for everyone. And number five, artificial plants and grass for everyone. Interesting. Why would someone want to have artificial plants and grass?
Mm,
Artificial means that the plants and grass are not real. Okay.
okay.
So what do you think? What rules?
Um, people will have. Mm, everybody has have to recycle, I would say.
All right. Okay, so we'll include that. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So what happens? Okay, so Justin, what happens if everyone in the city recycles? What will happen?
Then then they'll be able to use those recycling trash to make into something new or to create like recycle.
You mean like create new products?
Yeah, create new
Okay,
products.
right. And okay, is there any benefit for the environment if we recycle?
Well, I mean, yes, there'll be less trash for sure.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. And all the trash that comes from our homes, where are we sending that trash now? Where does all the trash go in many cases?
We dumped it in natural places
Yeah,
in a
well,
factory.
yeah, so it's called a landfill. So a lot of the trash is still being sent to landfills, right?
Yep.
So, but if we can recycle, then the size of the landfills will become much smaller, which is better for the environment, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I think that's a reasonable rule for the city to introduce. Okay, now this is the last point that we'll discuss before we see how our city did in terms of rating. Um, so our last decision is how will your city make money? Okay, that's
Okay.
important. Everybody needs to make money, right? Money makes the
Yes.
world round. Okay. So should I read the choices?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right. So the choices are your citizens, maybe they will be working in technology and digital, okay, or in manufacturing and construction, or in fishing and farming, or renewable energy, or working with attractions and tourism. Okay. So what do you think? What kind of jobs will be available for our citizens?
Technology and digital.
Okay. All right. Okay. See how that looks. Hmm. Okay. So your city is complete. Um, okay, Jay, for economics, you chose to base your economy on technology, on digital technology. Why is that? What do you think will happen if we focus on this business area?
And we 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 can create a lot of
If
things from technology
okay,
if if
mhm,
we like what we say if we create our technology,
mhm.
we could
If we
make
create new if we create new technology,
yes, if we create new technology, we could
mhm, we will
we will
or
earn
we
more money for sure,
okay,
and
true. That's true. Mhm,
and we can create a lot of new products, and we can use that
mhm.
technology for plants for growing as well, since we have electricity from the windmill, from wind energy.
Mhm. Yeah, but what kind of technology is connected with plants or planting? I'm not sure
Well,
what you mean by
we can use drones
hmm
for planting, or robots for
hmm
planting on their own.
Okay. Okay. So they will take over for the farmer, right?
Yes, because
Okay, so people don't. Mhm,
some farmers are old and they cannot work
mhm.
anymore.
Okay, okay. Okay, so we have farms, but but that doesn't mean so we have the robots that will be driving the tractors, or we have the robots that are harvesting the plants now, right?
Yes.
That's that's your idea. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Okay. Okay. So if we focus on technology, it seems like the buildings, there are a lot of high-rise buildings, right?
Mm.
So I don't know what kind of building materials will I have a concern about that because having these high-rise buildings is going to cause a lot of problems for the environment.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What kind of materials can we use?
Mm, I mean, we can
Uh,
use rocks from nature, and rocks to build, like
mhm.
instead of concrete, like that, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely have to come up with some ideas that are different than concrete, right? Because concrete's going
Yeah.
to cause a lot of environmental problems for the city. Okay. So we can maybe use some renewable resources as well to help with the construction. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay. So this will help to make our city just a little bit greener. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to find out what the results are for our city. Okay. And let's discuss what this all means. Okay. So the overall score for our city is 40. The maximum score is 79. So we're far away from having a perfect city in terms of being a green city. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so what this means here is that our city is doing very well in terms of economic prosperity and also very well in terms of employment. Okay, so any idea what that means, Jay? Employment?
No.
Okay, employment means jobs. So the
Okay.
people who are living in our city, they have a lot of jobs available to them.
Mhm.
Okay. Everybody has jobs available. They're working. Okay. So can you tell me, looking at the city, what are three jobs that people will be doing?
Um, Farmers.
Yeah, but you mentioned before that it's going to be more robotics and
Yeah,
technology
but
that will do that work.
what do we call people who create robots?
Oh, programmers.
Yeah, programmers.
Okay. Yeah. So people will be working in programming. Okay. Programming, software, hardware, robots. Sure. Okay. What else?
Engineers. Engineers. People who create
Engineers.
vehicles.
Yes. Okay. Good. Yeah. Electric vehicle, EV engineers. Okay. What else?
And mm, I mean, there's still gonna be farmers, but less than robots.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe.
So, okay. So that'll be another job option. And the jobs that you mentioned, like people who are working as programmers, people who are working as engineers, are these high paying jobs?
Yes, high paying jobs.
Okay. So because of the not only are they employed, but they have jobs that are high paying, this means economic prosperity for the city. Economic means about how much money the city is able to make, and then prosperity means that the city is growing very, very, very quickly in terms of the amount of money that people are able to generate. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why we have a high score in these areas. Okay. The next score, which is pretty good, is carbon footprint. Jay, any idea what that means?
Carbon footprint. I heard
Mhm.
of that before, but maybe you can
Okay.
explain.
Okay. Well, carbon footprint means that we all leave a carbon footprint here on Earth because when we breathe, for example, when we breathe out, we are breathing out carbon dioxide. Okay. So we are releasing carbon into the atmosphere. So this means we are creating a carbon footprint. Okay.
Yep.
So the choice is some people they have a very big carbon footprint. They create a lot of carbon for our environment. And then some people choose to have a very small footprint. Okay. So our city, the carbon footprint is not very big. Okay.
Mm.
So we're not releasing a lot of carbon into the atmosphere. We're not polluting the atmosphere a lot because, for what reasons, Jay? Why do you think?
Mm,
Our
it
city
could
is looking to
cause
be healthy. Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
I mean, pollution. If there's pollution in the city, it could
Mhm.
cause pe it could cause carbon dioxide in the air, and people won't be able to breathe it that easily.
Exactly. That's exactly. But that means we have a very high carbon footprint or a very large carbon footprint. But our city has a small carbon footprint. Okay. There's not going to be a lot of pollution in our city. Why?
Well, we because of the trash, like we don't dump the trash. We instead of
Mhm.
dump the trash, we recycle the trash, create new things,
Exactly.
new products.
That's right. So instead of having these landfills, we are recycling. Okay. So that means that we should have less pollution in our city. And then what about using windmills, using wind energy? Does that also help?
Yes, it that also helps because we use we use wind to power
Mhm.
electricity, and
Mhm.
like like right now these days we use fuels to power cars, to power a lot of things. and which is it creates pollution, creates carbon dioxide, which is not good.
Okay, okay. So in this case, we're using something called renewable energy. Okay.
Yeah.
So using the windmills is renewable. So that means that we should have a very small carbon footprint, a smaller carbon footprint in our city. Okay, and that's it. So anyways, for the people who have joined our program today, this is a program that's available online. It's called Mytopia. So you can search for it online if you want to play yourself, and maybe you can see you can get a better score than when we got. 40 is pretty good, but I'm sure some of you might be able to get something closer to the maximum score, which is 79. So being able to build your own perfect city. And I hope you have a better understanding about how we use the if clause. Okay. Justin, thank you so much for your help with that.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay. And there's one more thing that I would like to do for all of our listeners, and that is to remind you all about our sponsor. Okay. The people who are helping us to produce this program. So it is Embassy English. And I'd like to give you the contact information. You can see there are some phone numbers for you to contact. And there's also a QR code. Okay, if you scan the QR code, you can get more information about the activities that Embassy English is involved with. You can also visit at education@embassyalliance.com, or you can contact at www.embassy.com, or sorry, .camp. Okay, and the reason why they call it .camp is because Embassy English organizes different English language camps in different locations around the world. The primary locations being Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, as well as Dubai. And these camps are held at different times throughout the year. If you want more information, you can definitely get that information by looking at the details here that are listed here. Okay. Justin, can you see all the information on your side?
Yes, I can see.
Wow, that's great. So I'm sure that everyone that's joined our stream can see that as well. So I guess that's all for this evening. It was great having you all with us. And yeah, it's good to have some time with my son as well. I hope he's having a great time in Canada. And I hope that all of you are having a great day wherever you are. Okay, so from my side, good evening. And
Yep.
Jay, from your side?
It's great. It's great to have this class.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy, and yeah, I have a really good trip. Really, I really enjoy my trip in Canada.
Mm-hmm. All
That's
right.
pretty
And
much it.
you're just getting your day started, right? It's only what, 11 o'clock in the morning or something where you are?
Yes.